Lexie Hull is opening up about Caitlin Clark and the Indiana.
It looks like Lexie Hull just stepped into the spotlight, and what she had to say about Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever might change everything we thought we knew about this team. The offseason was supposed to be quiet, a chance for everyone to reset.
I think Caitlin should be the next to get a signature shoe.
And regroup. But instead, firing rumors are swirling, tensions are bubbling to the surface, and one player decided she wasn't going to stay silent anymore. Lexie Hull, the steady, no-nonsense guard who's been with Indiana.
Lexie Hull is currently, on a little media run. Lexie Hull is one of the biggest names this offseason.
Through thick and thin, just opened up in a way that has fans, analysts, and even her own teammates doing a double take. And here's the thing, she didn't just defend Caitlin Clark. She laid bare what's really been happening behind those locker room doors.
And I feel like Lexie Hull is going to be getting a major payday in regards to her basketball abilities on the court.
Trust me, it's messier than anyone wanted to admit. Let's rewind for a second. Lexie Hull has never been the loudest voice in the room. She's not the one stirring up drama on social media or
Now, with that being said, this article has been released, and it goes on to say Lexie gets real about Caitlin Clark, Indiana Fever locker room, and offseason uncertainty.
Cryptic tweets after tough losses. She's the player who shows up, does her job, plays solid defense, and stays out of the headlines. But lately, she's been everywhere. Interviews, podcasts, even sneaker review videos, because apparently in today's WNBA, every conversation somehow...
And who needs a little bit of help? Yeah. I would say, I think Caitlin has the best sneaker game because
now loops back to either Caitlin Clark or who's got the best shoe deal. And during one of these media appearances, Lexie said something that made everyone stop scrolling and start paying attention. She was asked about the Fever's locker room, about the vibe, about whether everything was really as picture-perfect as the team's PR department kept insisting. And her answer? Well, it was polite on the surface, but if you listen closely, there was a whole lot more going on beneath those carefully chosen words. She said she loved her time in Indiana. She praised the fans, the franchise, the people. It was the kind of answer you give when you're trying not to burn bridges, the kind of statement you rehearse in your head before a big meeting. But then came the pause. That split second of silence that said more than any scripted response ever could. Because when someone has to think that hard about how to phrase their loyalty, you know something's off. And fans picked up on it immediately. The internet lit up with questions. Was Lexie hinting at locker room drama? Was she subtly calling out the chaos that's been brewing all season? Or was she just being cautiously honest in a league where one wrong word can turn you into a headline for all the wrong reasons? Here's where it gets even more interesting. An article dropped not long after, titled something along the lines of Lexie getting real about Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever locker room, and all the uncertainty swirling around this offseason. And let me tell you, the timing couldn't have been more perfect or more suspicious, depending on how you look at it. If everything behind the scenes was sunshine and smooth sailing, Lexie wouldn't sound like she was giving a farewell speech while pretending she wasn't already halfway out the door. But that's exactly what it felt like. She talked about uncertainty, about change, about not knowing what comes next. And those aren't just casual throwaway lines. Those are the words of someone who's watching the situation closely, weighing her options, and maybe, just maybe, preparing for a future that doesn't include Indianapolis. Let's not forget the context here. This past season wasn't just any season for the Fever. It was one of the most watched, most talked about, most dissected seasons in WNBA history. And why? Because Caitlin Clark walked through those doors as the most hyped rookie the league has seen in years, maybe ever. She brought ticket sales, TV ratings, jersey sales, and yes, even increased snack sales at the arenas. She was a walking, talking, three-point shooting phenomenon. But with all that hype came pressure, scrutiny, and a spotlight so bright it didn't just shine on Caitlin. It burned everyone standing near her. Veterans who had been grinding for years suddenly found themselves answering questions about the rookie in every single interview. teammates had cameras shoved in their faces just because they happened to walk past Caitlin's locker. The whole dynamic shifted. What used to feel like a team started feeling like the Caitlin Clark Show, guest starring the Indiana Fever. And Lexie Hull was there for all of it. She was there before Caitlin arrived, back when the biggest headline out of Indiana was speculation about their draft picks. She was part of the rebuild, the struggle, the slow climb toward relevance. And now, everything had changed overnight. Suddenly the Fever were must-see TV, but not because of the collective effort. It was all about one player. And while that's not Caitlin's fault, the league pushed her into that role before she even had a chance to settle in. It's completely understandable that someone like Lexie might feel a little overshadowed. You work hard, you contribute, you play solid defense night after night, and then you drop 15 points off the bench only to get a single line mention in the post-game recap while Caitlin tying her shoes makes national news. That wears on you. Now, during that interview on a sneaker YouTube channel called Soul Retriever, Lexie seemed relaxed. She was talking about her favorite shoes, her fiancé, the usual lighthearted stuff you'd expect from a casual sit-down. But then she made a comment that instantly became the most quoted line of the entire offseason. She said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that Caitlin probably has the best sneaker game on the team because she gets the most free shoes. On the surface, it sounds like a harmless compliment, right? Just a fun observation about who's got the hookup with the shoe brands. But listen to it again. Really listen. There's a raised eyebrow hidden in that sentence. It's like saying, yeah, she's really popular because the teacher gives her extra credit. Sounds innocent, but there's a sting tucked inside. And fans caught it immediately. Some said it was playful banter. Others saw it as a subtle jab, a quiet frustration about how some players get the superstar treatment while the rest of the roster fades into the background. The wildest part? The interview wasn't even supposed to be about team drama. It was literally about sneakers. But that's the Caitlin Clark effect for you. Anything remotely connected to her becomes a headline. Every comment gets analyzed, every side glance turns into a conspiracy theory. And Lexie's offhand remark about shoes? The blogs ran with it like it was a game-winning buzzer beater. People started asking the real questions. Is there actual tension in that locker room? Was this Lexie's way of saying enough is enough without directly saying it? And honestly, you can't blame people for connecting those dots. When you stack up all the little moments from the season, the awkward bench reactions, the hesitation to help Caitlin up after hard fouls, the subtle shifts in body language, it starts to paint a picture. And it's not the picture the Fever's PR team wants you to see. Let's talk about Lexie's contract situation for a second, because that adds a whole other layer to this. She reminded everyone that she's a restricted free agent. Translation? She loves the fans, she appreciates the franchise, but she's also keeping her options open. It's like telling your boss that working here has been an incredible experience while you're secretly updating your LinkedIn profile at night. Lexie has every right to explore what's out there. She's been a reliable contributor, a strong defender, a key piece of Indiana's growth. But when a franchise becomes entirely centered around one player, and that player happens to be Caitlin Clark, everyone else gets pushed to the background. And that's not always a bad thing. Star power drives success, but it's a tricky position to be in when you're trying to build your own legacy, your own brand, your own career. Picture the locker room dynamics this season. Some teammates probably tried to stay chill, keep their heads down, focus on the game. Others, clearly frustrated that Caitlin got all the attention even when she wasn't on the court. And then there's Lexie, one of the quieter voices, probably just watching it all unfold in silence. Until now. Her recent comments feel like the kind of carefully worded honesty that players use when they want to tell the truth without causing a social media meltdown. She mentioned uncertainty, change, seeing what comes next. Those are classic red flags, the kind of language someone uses when they're not entirely sure they want to stick around. And honestly, who could blame her? The Fever locker room has been under a microscope all season long. Every celebration, every disagreement, every single look has been turned into content. It's like living inside a reality TV show where the confessional cameras never stop rolling. Fans even started picking sides. Team Caitlyn versus Team everyone else. It became exhausting. But here's the thing about Lexie. She doesn't come across as bitter. She just sounds tired. The kind of tired you feel when your team is a constant headline instead of just being a basketball team. She hasn't said anything outright negative about Caitlyn. In fact, she's been pretty diplomatic. But she's clearly hinting that not everything behind the scenes has been sunshine and free Nike merchandise. And that subtle honesty might actually hit harder than a full-blown rant ever could. Because when someone like Lexie, steady, reliable, drama-free Lexie, starts sounding like she's emotionally half-packed and ready to move on, you know the situation is more complicated than anyone's letting on. Now let's zoom out and look at the bigger issue here. The spotlight imbalance. Caitlyn Clark didn't ask to be the face of the league before she'd even played a full season. But that's exactly what happened. She walked in as the most hyped player in years, and immediately the narrative shifted. Ticket sales skyrocketed. TV ratings went through the roof. Suddenly arenas were packed, and yes, even concession stand sales went up. Everyone knew she was going to change things. But maybe not everyone was ready for how much she'd change them. Veterans found themselves fielding questions about the rookie in every interview. Teammates had to navigate cameras constantly in their personal space just because they happened to be near Caitlyn. The team stopped feeling like a team and started feeling like a supporting cast in someone else's story. And again, this isn't Caitlyn's fault. The league made her the centerpiece before she even had time to breathe. But imagine being Lexie Hull. You've been there through the rebuilds, the tough seasons, the disappointments. You've put in the work, stayed loyal, contributed when it mattered. And now everything revolves around one person. It's human nature to feel overshadowed when you're playing well, working hard, and still being talked about like a background character. So when Lexie says she loves Indiana but is unsure what's next, that's not just contract negotiation talk. That's her politely saying, if you all keep acting like there's only one player on this roster, I might just pack up my sneakers and find somewhere that values what I bring to the table. Throughout the season, there were small moments that hinted at this tension. Nothing explosive, but enough to make people go, wait, did you see that? Awkward reactions on the bench after certain plays. Teammates not exactly rushing to help Caitlyn up after she took a hard foul. Fans noticed. Cameras caught it. And you can bet Lexie noticed too every single day. Meanwhile, Caitlyn's every move became clickbait. If she tied her shoes, headline. If she smiled, Caitlyn Clark stays positive despite tough season. If she looked tired, Caitlyn Clark carries the weight of the WNBA on her shoulders. And Lexie? She could drop 15 points and barely get a mention. That imbalance creates fatigue, not hatred, just exhaustion. And that's what you hear in Lexie's voice now. She's tired of the noise, tired of pretending, tired of acting like she doesn't notice how lopsided everything has become. The Fever's chemistry looked shaky at times, especially late in the season. That kind of tension doesn't explode publicly. It just hums quietly in the background, building pressure. Some say it's just part of growing as a team. Others argue it's what happens when one player becomes bigger than the team itself. And honestly, both can be true. Lexie is in an interesting spot now. She's respected, has a solid fan base, and is young enough to land a significant deal elsewhere. So when she says she's loved her time in Indiana, but is ready to see what comes next, it doesn't sound random. It sounds rehearsed. Like something you'd practice in front of a mirror before an exit interview. And that sneaker comment? Fans latched onto it. Some saw playful banter. Others saw quiet frustration about the perks that come with being the league's golden child. Lexie literally said Caitlyn probably has the best sneaker game because she gets the most free shoes. That's a compliment with a raised eyebrow attached. It's harmless on the surface, but you can feel the sarcasm creeping through. And that's what makes this whole story so fascinating. Lexie didn't need to go on a rant or throw anyone under the bus. She just needed a few carefully chosen words, and the internet did the rest. There's also the bigger picture to consider. The off-season uncertainty isn't just about locker room vibes. CBA negotiations have everyone on edge. Players like Lexie are caught right in the middle. If that deal doesn't get finalized, things could get messy fast. And the timing of her comments? Perfect. She's saying all this while free agency rumors swirl. It's a message to both her current team and potential new ones. She's saying, I can be loyal, but I'm also paying attention to how this all plays out. Lexie Hull isn't the type to cause drama. But her calm, measured honesty might have hit harder than any explosive interview ever could. She sounds like someone who's emotionally half-packed, 1 foot already out the door. And that's why her words carry so much weight. They're not angry. They're not bitter. They're just real. It's easy to read between the lines. The locker room is a little cracked. The spotlight is too bright. And Lexie's patience might be wearing thin. So here's the real question. Was Lexie just being honest about a complicated season? Or did she quietly call out the locker room drama everyone's been pretending doesn't exist? Either way, one thing's for sure. Indiana's off-season is about to get loud. And Lexie Hull just made sure everyone's paying attention.